This book is going to help explain obesity to a lot of people. It's a very complex topic, obesity. But this book is going to allow people to understand what the causes of obesity are. And I don't mean just the overeating. There's a lot more to it than that. But it's going to tell you really the reasons why people gain weight in the first place. It also is going to allow you to understand what you can do about that. And more important, and lastly, but more important, is that it's going to allow you to understand how not to get back into that. It's going to give you the reasons, the triggers that cause you to get there in the first place and tell you how not to get back in there. I'm a bariatric surgeon. I operate on people for obesity. I've done that for many years, and after hundreds of patients, and also my own experience with my own personal obesity, what I've learned from this is that obesity is not just the overeating and exercise part of it. There's more to it than that. There's a whole cycle that causes obesity. That cycle is caused by anxiety, depression, that leads to overeating, and that leads to more guilt, more anxiety, more depression. And that cycle goes on and on and on. And every time that you get into this cycle, when you fail a diet, it gets worse. This is why people gain the weight back and then some. And you've heard that I'm sure a bunch of times. So what this is a roadmap. This is a roadmap that allows you to understand the whole process. You know, we're used to seeing the overeating and exercise portion of obesity only. Let's take, for example, the iceberg that hit the Titanic. You know, everybody knows about that iceberg. And what did they see that night? They saw the tip of that iceberg coming to them. And they were actually able to maneuver around that tip of that iceberg, but yet they still got hit. They created a big gash, and the ship sank. Well, what created that gash was the big, huge part of that iceberg that was underwater that nobody saw. So imagine that everybody's treating the overeating and the exercise, and that's that tip of that iceberg. And I do it too, obviously, I operate on people. But nobody's seeing the bottom part of it, the really large part, which is the rest of that cycle that's going to cause you to sink. So this is why it's so important to understand the whole process of obesity.